Thank you so much. My name is Jeremiah Omoyo Baigwa. I'm an architect by profession. I practice on a private farm basis. I'm also a business person here and there, but in all, I'm a servant of God and a friend to man. In this Christian journey, we are here to make sure that the gospel of God is preached to all the generations. Thank you.
And my name is Carolinda Mora, but I'm oftenly known as Cal Mora. I am a wife to one husband. I am also a mother to one child. I am an advocate of the High Court of Kenya, currently practicing in the telecommunications industry. And above all, I am a daughter of God, and I'm here to share our insights, which we hope will inspire you all.
Thank you. I think I'll start by saying that marriage is a beautiful institution. It's one of the institutions that God set out for us. And our journey of marriage started sometime back in 2019, if I can recall well. That started when there is one of our friends who happens to be our best couple, had been bereaved. Her mother had passed on. And we had gone to pay a visit to them. Personally, I had gone as a friend, but then the youth from our church had gone to pay a visit to pass their condolences as the youth group. And while there, I remember so well, my wife was the one who was in charge of the program that very day. And there's this specific seat, it's a single seat that sits by the window in that house. And she was sat there, which was more like, we can say, the pulpit of it. And she was the one who was sharing the word for that day. And the way she was articulating herself and the way she was putting God first in that program, I looked at her and I loved that character in her. Number one, the character, the kind of confidence she had. Because at times you will find that the confidence level in someone is a little low, but the kind of confidence she had in her, and also her understanding of scripture. Because then I looked at it and saw that if she has this kind of understanding of the scripture, then this is someone who we can get to grow with in this Christian journey. And out of that, I took the interest to get to know her. I believe from there, one thing led to another. At times, we have different stories of this on how first, who saw who first and how we met. That's my version. I think you could give your version of it, and then we can say how our first date happened to be.
So my version, I think, happened later on after. Honestly, on that day when I was sharing, my mind was just mission. I hadn't even noticed there was a gentleman there that could become my husband. But then later... He
was the hunter.
Yeah, he was the hunter then, let's say that. So when Lavington had organized a youth camp in Diani, I remember. And so we had gone for this youth camp and we were divided into was it 3 or 4 groups? And so each group had its day to do the activities at the camp, say cooking, say if it's cleaning. And so our group was in the kitchen that day. And he wasn't in our group, but then he came to assist us. And we were tired, after the activities of the day, and you guys are the ones who have cooked, you have to wash the utensils for the next group to take over the next day. So this guy comes and tells us, we had left some big sufurias and said, the next group will come and deal with these sufurias tomorrow. So he comes and tells, we have to be responsible people. We have to do this thing to perfection and finish all that we had been given to do so that the next group can come and start in a clean kitchen. And so what he does, he volunteered. If anyone else is not willing to clean, I will do it. So he said, I will do it. And I was like, who is this guy? Maybe then I need to know him better and know where this responsibility is coming from. So the next day, we were playing cards. And it happened we had the ladies on one side and the gents on one side. And so at the finals, I was left to represent the ladies and he was representing the gents. And I was hoping I would win that game. But as fate may have it, he took, he won the game. But then I was left wondering, maybe I need to know this guy better and intellectually relate to him and understand him. And that is how I did a little bit of research to find out what kind of a guy he is. And there's a friend of his who really, alimjengea CV yani hadi I was like, umetumwa ama nini? So that is how we later became friends. And I would emphasize the fact that you have to be friends first with the person you're going to marry before you actually start dating them. That would be my advice. Because then when you're friends, it will be difficult for them to hide their flaws. You would know what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, and you would ask yourself, is it something I can accommodate? Will it be a compromise to who I am? And that is when now you can make a choice whether you proceed into marriage or you just let the friendship go. Yeah.
Talking of our first date, I remember there's a time, or rather now, after we had exchanged contacts, you're on WhatsApp, checking her status, what's going on. So I'm looking at this time, her birthday month is July. And during her birthday month, she usually does posts that lead to her birthday. And from the first, her birthday is on 12th of July. So from the 1st of July, she'll do a post for each day. And I was there busy commenting. I mean, when you're a hunter, you'll hunt from all corners. So I was there busy. Her post is up, I would comment on it. But I did not know where the posts were leading to. So I remember before we set the date to be on that 12th, in between we had tried to do a day for lunch, but it kind of flopped because either she was busy at work or I was busy. So it happened that now on the 12th, she told me she'd be free on that Friday. Beforehand, I did not know what was happening. That was on Monday. I remember it was a Friday. And we said, okay, let's work with Friday. Friday is good. What do we do? So she asked me, I told her we could do outdoor. Outdoor is good. And I didn't know she loves outdoor. I just suggested that. And that led to us going to Ololua. We celebrated her birthday. It was me and her. We enjoyed the day there. Later on, we came back. I left at her place. And I went to my place. That marked our first date.
It was his idea. Honestly, I grew up in a small town. You see those towns where you ask, can something good come out of? It's a small town called Narok. And I knew very little, if not at all, on anything to do with farming. And so when we met, he loves farming and he also loves doing landscaping. And so it was during the period when COVID had kind of hit the nation, and he had done some farming in Kiserian. He had planted some watermelon and at some point were tomatoes. So for him, he would do the farming, and then me, I would do the marketing bit of social media, because he's a very private person. So the social media bit in terms of Instagram, Facebook, I'm the one who's usually posting even when it comes to anniversaries. But for him, he is kind of a very private person. And so the marketing bit, I would do it very well. But when it comes to farming, atikwenda kushika jembe ya kiboi, it's something I'm still learning. And I remember there was a time we had even harvested a lot of watermelons. And so you were wondering, where are we going to sell this watermelon? And so an idea came up, let's go to Isili. So we went to Isili and opened the boot of the car. And you know, I was the one who was shouting there, kumi, 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 watermelon, kumi, kumi, watermelon, for people to come and buy. And he was just seated collecting money because him and marketing are two different. So that also tells you the strengths and weaknesses and how they come in. And I think it was fun then, because I left that place saying, hey, marketing is never an easy job. You know, these people you see in the market doing it. I was actually making a joke to him the other day and telling him, you know, that day when we were selling watermelons, if I was to meet a client, like my client, and then the client tells me, you know, I saw you in Isli, I would say, you know, maybe you saw my twin sister. That should not have been me. But yeah, that is what made our dating so fun. And about farming, I'm still learning on farming from him, of course. Yes.
Yeah, I would say for me, I love farming. We still do it. Even in our place, we have a small kitchen garden by the side. And at times, I always go to her because there are times I would be out at work. I come back, napata nyanya zimeanguka chini. I'm like, okay, my people, you should have come and collected the tomatoes. At times you'd find that the chicken have been in their pen for quite a while. Sometimes you need to let them go out to get the sun and all that. So at times I come back complain, hey, you guys, you've been here the whole week. Just an afternoon for the chicken to go out and roam, eat the grass and all that. So yeah, I love farming personally. It's a good thing. It's something for me which keeps me happy. I mean, there are those things you do to make yourself, there's that, kuna kafuraha fulani, unasikia ukifanya kitu fulani. So for me, I think that's farming, dealing with the soil, getting to touch the soil and seeing something good grow out of it. Yeah.
I'm very open-minded, I would say. So I like learning new adventures. Based on my personality, I think I just love something that will make my adrenaline, always on the move. So when he brought up the idea of farming, I was like, why not? Maybe I should learn one or two things about farming. And yeah, it's a good thing because right now at least I enjoy a little bit of flowers and nature with the baby out. So yeah, it's something I took with a positive mind. I used to think I love nature and outdoor until I met him. He is extra with camping and adventures. Actually, before we got the baby, we would go for hiking almost every weekend, like back to back. This weekend is camping, next weekend is camping, next weekend. We are everywhere. And he loves also traveling. So, and it's blended with the fact that I love nature, especially sunsets, watching sunsets. And so, as I said earlier, I'm also open to new activities. So kama form imetokezea and it's something I can try, something new, why not? I usually go. And so for now, I would say hiking and adventure has been part of what we enjoy as a family. And we're hoping even as the family grows, it is something we will continue to enjoy. And it helps us even to bond because nature in itself is God's second book. So, and it also helps us to keep fit anyways. So if it's something that can help us to grow as a family, then it helps us to grow as a family, and I'm ready to enter into it even better and better.
I think the place for hiking is where you kind of draw the line because when we go hiking, I'm left pulling her up.
I'm usually there to just take the photos for Instagram. Like, I made it to Mount Kenya, I made it to...
But the process is not captured.
Yeah, true.
I think I'll answer it from the perspective that at times we get to find, or rather we get to see support when you're faced with a very serious challenge, especially something like losing a loved one, maybe a parent, losing a job. We can talk of losing a job somewhere and you're feeling at your downest moment. We could talk of, which the other way I would look at it. Maybe someone is sick, maybe your spouse is sick, and they are at their lowest moment. When I try to look at that question, those are some of the areas you look at and see where how much you are, the nut has been pressed for you to support that person. I'll say so far, we haven't gone to those extent. God has been faithful with us. We haven't lost a loved one who's so close to us. We haven't lost a job. We haven't been sick to the point that you could see that kind of support. But then if I can draw that case now to as we are as a couple, I think yes, we have supported one another. In that, number one, I'll pick it from the point that personally when I do my designs as an architect, he's my number one critic. She's my number one critic. Whenever I do a design, I'll bring her to the table and ask her, check on this house. What do you see? What don't you like? Assume you're the one who is living there. Because one thing we talk about in our School of Architecture is that architects live with their mistakes. Doctors bury their mistakes. So yes, these are mistakes I'll live with. These are house when I'll visit the client. These are house I'll see my mistake each and every day. So she's there to remove for me the problems. Because sometimes we say the man's eye is different from the woman's eye. Yes, I'll see that I've done a good wall and all that, but she'll come from a different perspective and say that, no, this is not working here. Why don't you try this other way? Yes, to that I'll say she has been my number one critique in terms of design, and she's there to hold my backbone.
In addition, you know, when you are there at the altar exchanging vows, we just usually like, for better, for worse, for richer, for poor, until you come into the marriage and you're like, this thing is actually a reality. And you have to be committed to stick to those vows. And so, like for him, anything I face at work, I usually come and vent to him. So he kind of knows like everyone in the office, even when he has not met them, and everything that if I had a good day, he will know this girl had a good day. If it was a bad day, he would know it is a bad day. And so he's always there like, anyway, that both of you are here and here was bad. And so for me, that is what support means. You know, for women, okay, personally, I wanted someone who would listen, someone who would be there to affirm me and tell me whatever you're doing is the right thing. And then when I'm in the wrong, they would correct me in the right way. And you know, I'm in a profession where people usually say like, "Ay, lawyers ni vichwa ngumu." You know, they rarely submit in marriage. But for me, submission in my marriage came so naturally. And I was like, hey, God gave me a good husband and he gave me a good father to my child, because then I have never struggled with submission in my marriage. And I can only pay that to the grace and support of God and putting Christ at the center of the marriage. Yeah.
I'll let you go first.
When you have a shared ministry, you kind of have your visions aligned and your goals are aligned. Like for me to become a master guide, he inspired me because he does a lot of DIYs, even the farming he does, the knot tying. I was like, hey, if I can join master guide and know these things, why not? And then also considering we are bringing a little human into this earth, and who knows, maybe others will come, then they need someone who will disciple them to know God. And I think that is the most important task we have as parents. And being a master guide, I look forward to inspiring children, not just our children, but also the surrounding they will grow in, such that the influence they will have around them is going to be positive influence. So for master guide and having our goals aligned is something that for me is a plus. And in our ministry, in making our little heavens on earth, then that is 100% of it. Yes.
To add to that, I'll say, you see, sometimes it's easier to, when they say equally yoked, I'll draw it literally to this, that when we are equally yoked as master guys, it's easy for me to tell her that today is a Pathfinder Day. Because she understands what Pathfinder Day is. It will be easy for me to tell her we need to be in church for adventurers class by 9, because she knows that adventurers needs to be in church by 9 so that the classes are able to start by 9. Unlike I'm the master guide, she's not the master guide. We'll have a struggle, especially when it comes to the clubs, because maybe she has no interest in the club. Yes, we are both Seventh-day Adventists, but then in terms of clubs and curriculums, she's not able to understand what that is fully about. So that way, by her being a master guide, me being a master guide, it's a shared ministry which will relate into the family. The kids we bring up, our neighbors will learn from us, and that way we are able also to try and influence those around us by that ministry in which we are in. I'll say no, it wouldn't have been different. It's only that this one has made it sweeter. Master Guide has made it sweeter for us. I wouldn't say it would be different because I'll draw back to what attracted me to her. That spiritual level, that understanding of the word, because it's Christ who brought us together. Or rather, our core center was Jesus Christ. We all walked in being that the center. That way, when I look at it then, since our core values are aligned, and then into our dating, we realize that yes, we can work things out. So for me, Master Guide was like a top up to it. When you're doing the cake, yes, you have the cake, marriage is the cake, but then Master Guide becomes like part of the icing of it.
And for those who might be wondering, maybe from the audience, what Master Guide involves. So Master Guide is just a curriculum in the Adventist faith where you get to know or get to acquire the skills of how you can inspire little children to grow in knowing God fully, and also you as a person increase your level of spiritual awareness in knowing more about God and more about your faith, so that you're able to practically pass the knowledge of God and the wisdom to young children. Yeah.
I'll start with me. I think partly I've answered that in the previous question. In that, she's my number one critic in terms of career. Whenever I do my designs, she'll be the first on the table to come and try to give me the negatives about it. Because I always tell her, just tell me the negative, don't tell me about the positives. Because that way then I'm able to work on those negative and enhance onto the positives. So that has been a work for me, and she has been my enabler. Maybe partly I'll say that I love doing a lot of DIYs. I have a small workshop at my place, and I do a lot of woodwork and metalwork. And the thing happens to be that whenever I do a furniture, which I've done for a specific place, she comes and takes it to her interest. So I end up again going back to scratch. It motivates me as a person, because then, yes, that partly woodwork, metalwork is still part of our design courses. So that becomes like a handicraft for me. And she's my enabler in it, in that she's able to encourage me into it. She's my support there. At times I need something to be held. She's my helping hand, because anyway, I don't have someone to come by and assist me. So she's always there to support, and yeah.
Yeah, and to add on that, the nature of our work, him being an architect and myself being an advocate, sometimes it can become very demanding. But for him, he's been a present father, that even you can enjoy some flexibility, even you as a mother. See, the burden of bringing up the child is just for you and for you as a mother, because he's been very supportive when it comes to bringing up the child we have. And also, he's been pushing me to continue with my studies. And so the fact that I have a support system that can tell me what you have right now is not enough. You need to maybe do your master's, you need to do your certified secretaries. And that in itself motivates me to even move forward in my career and strike a balance between being a mother, being a wife, and being a career person. So to me, that was just a blessing from God. I'd say it's all about priorities, because then you realize the most important duty for us as parents is to bring up our children in the ways of the Lord. And if my child is comfortable in the space of knowing that they have been brought up in the way of the Lord, then I would easily juggle between being a mother and bringing up this child, and also advancing my career. And once you have a supportive spouse, like I do, it is easy for you to strike that balance of knowing this is time for my child. I can still advance my career, and it's not really that it is stalled, but rather you know where your priorities lie. So you will have, there's a time and season for everything, right? So you will have a time when you will ensure your child, and you know the most critical years of your child are between 0 to 3 years. And so if your child has been brought up, and you know, as a mother, as a primary teacher, if your child is comfortable and is in the way of the Lord between 0 to 3 years, then you can easily strike a balance and go and now say, now it's time to advance my career. It's time for me to do other things that I wouldn't have done when I had a child. So for me, it's all about priorities and knowing what your purpose is on this earth. Yes.
I think also, being it's a question that was in line with the ladies, to answer from a husband's perspective is that let's be supportive husbands. I mean, be her number one cheerleader. Be the one to take in the hard times. Because I mean, sometimes if it's someone who wants to advance into her career, be there to push her into the long hours into the night. Let her work the hours. Be there to hold the babies if they are young, so that she's able to go through the journey. That way we become a complementary family. I'll say that one should be a building block of the other, in that it's in the adventure that you get to build the block for Christianity. It's in Christianity that you're meant to build the block for the marriage. So pick each aspect of your life as a building block of the other. Let you be in accordance to the will of God. Marriage is a beautiful thing. I remember being a younger person in my more youthful years, you hear phrases saying that 0 to 3 is the hardest part of marriage. Some will say 0 to 5, some will say 0 to 10 are the hardest part of marriage. Once you go through, then you're able. But I'll say, when you go with the mentality that these are the hard parts of marriage, for sure marriage will be hard. But then you go in with the perspective that this is marriage which has come. It's a vows that I took. This is something which you are meant to be companions to one another. Because in the first place, you went into the marriage as people who are goal-oriented. If we go into that as one person, then you are able to walk the journey. Communication is key in marriage. Let not your problems slip over. Try and solve the issues. All problems are always able to be solved within the two of you. And in the long run then, you are able to incorporate these other things we are talking about, the career issues. You're able to incorporate the adventure issues. You're able to incorporate these other, I'll call them the subsidiaries of marriage, because then that's what makes the whole cake.
For me, I would say the book of Proverbs says, commit your ways unto the Lord, and you will be successful in carrying them out. And so you realize the moment you commit everything you have planned as a youth to the Lord, then at His own appointed time, everything will fall into place. You know, we live in an era whereby if it's a husband you want or a spouse that you want, you kind of list all the qualities you want and take them to God and tell God, now ratify what I have brought to you. Instead of letting God dictate who He wants you maybe to marry, which career path He wants you to take, what kind of a purpose He has placed you to do on earth. And that way you will find, if you surrender everything to God, then He will bless you at His own appointed time. So take your time and commit everything to God.